Welcome to Auntie Life Unfiltered, the podcast where we say the things everyone else whispers, feels, or pretends they're totally fine about. Around here, nothing is too awkward, too messy, or too, oh my god, did she really just say that? Yes, I did. This is your space for real talk, real stories, real emotions, and the kind of honesty that makes you laugh, cry, and heal a little. Sometimes all at once. So grab your drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. Because life's too short to sugarcoat it, and I'm not here to do that anyway. Welcome to Auntie Life Unfiltered. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Auntie Life Unfiltered. Today is a very special episode. We are doing our second episode of WWAMMD. What would Auntie do? And for this special episode, we have Karyn joining us, which a lot of you should recognize from her episode, which is so empowering. Her story shows a lot of strength and resilience, and I think it will be great to see her side of things on these questions with us today. Welcome, Karyn. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Let's spin that wheel.
Awesome. So we're going to get the wheel spin brought up here, and we will go from there. Does it look good on your end for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Alrighty. Let's go. Let's see what we get. Can you love someone deeply and still know they're not your person? Definitely. I think so, absolutely. I think you can have all kinds of different types of love. We kind of touched on this on the first episode, not this exact question, but there's different types of love. You could be your first love and still hold a little bit of love for them, but it changes. As time goes, things change. You can love somebody like a sister versus a relationship. But you can know that they're not your person. You could love everything about them, but just not seeing yourself settling down with that person. What do you think, Karyn?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think as we grow and evolve, I've definitely gone through a lot of different types of love. And I think every human is so unique. So you have no option but to love someone differently each time because each person needs something differently, just like you need something differently. I feel like with every relationship, whether it be, romantic or friendship or anything like that. We grow and we change. So I think that, yeah, you can totally love someone deeply, but I always teach, I'm very active in the NA community. So I have a sponsee and I always make them do a Mr. Rights list. But I
Nice.
feel like that's directly applicable to friendship as well. And I
Mhm.
also feel like we do need to be mindful of the things that we want before we engage in anything in depth, like as important and as in depth as love with any human.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And there's so many different types of loves, and you said something important there. Not every love's going to be the same. It's all going to be different every single time. So,
That's what makes it fun.
absolutely. Let's see what we get next. Is forgiveness necessary for healing, or can you move on without it? I'll let you answer first on this question, Karyn.
Oh, so I know that I have really struggled with a lot of trauma in my life. So part of my personal recovery was learning to forgive. And I actually had a really amazing human tell me that the actual definition and real thought process behind forgiveness is really only giving up the right to get even. It's not forgetting, it's not anything else. It's just so that way you don't have to hold that anymore. You have no more responsibility on whatever it is that you need to forgive. That's in their court. So when I forgive for me. So I don't have to hold that weight anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of touched on this on our last episode as well with Chris and kind of reiterate everything you just said. You may not always get that closure or that ending, but if you can find forgiveness on your end or a way for you to heal through it, that's important. You may not always have that closure or be able to get to speak to the person, but there are different ways you can work on that for yourself, and it is important to work on that.
Yeah, I think it's also important too to know that even if you do seek forgiveness or try to forgive someone, we have no control over somebody else's reaction or actions following. I think, especially like I've seen with really close interpersonal relationships, like regardless if we have this beautiful, forgiving moment of clarity and we come to terms, that doesn't mean that they're not going to act the same the next day
Hmm. Absolutely.
because we're all a little bit sick inside. We all have self-work to do. So
Hmm.
sometimes that takes a little bit longer. Sometimes forgiveness is a really long process and it
Absolutely. Yeah.
requires patience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely
Mhm.
something that doesn't happen overnight, and it's so important. When you said it's important to where the other person is in their life as well. They could, have that conversation with you, and then, like you said, the same very next day go do the same exact thing. So let's see what we get now.
I wish it had like the little ding,
Oh
like the
yeah,
paper play.
the music. Yes.
Yes.
Has music ever helped you through a season of grief or change? Absolutely. This is a reoccurring question theme in my podcast and everything in my life and almost everyone I speak to. Music, I think, is so therapeutic. It's helped me through some really dark seasons of losing my babies to pregnancy loss, family members, just dark, deep times in my life, depression. Going to live concerts is like a therapy to me, just being in that environment and being with people that are like minded, just kind of shutting the world out for a little bit. I think that it's helped me in so many ways.
I think that if you listen to music intentionally, there's always the stuff that's on the radio. Even that can invoke, I think, some kind of emotion. But I
Hmm.
think as I, grow and heal, I seem to identify more with music with a story or something that I can relate to, something I can form a connection with. And so through that like helps me process things. I've been known at like after a really tense day to sit in my car and scream out to screamo. Like, I don't
Hmm.
really care for screamo, but I need that. I need that excess energy to just go away. Or
Oh
if
yeah.
I'm sad, listen to a really happy song. Like, I need that energy, that movement. It heals for sure.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. I do go to metal concerts and go to all kinds of different types of music and just sometimes you need that extra oomph to get you going or let out some
Yeah.
aggression or like in the mornings if I work from home having a bad day or something, put on some of my music and get me going. So let's see now. Are we turning normal struggles into diagnosis too quickly? Ooh, this is a tough one. Um, I'd say yes and no. I think it's great that there's been more light and it's not as taboo to talk about, your struggles, whether it's something like ADHD or autism or mental health struggles or addiction. I think it's great that we can all openly talk about these things now, but of course there are people out there that just want to claim they have these things just to be cool or to fit in. Technology is kind of a weird bird on that aspect, we're all there to help each other, but then there's also the people that just want the attention or just, seeking it or like, oh, yes, me too. I personally have kind of strayed away from the modern medicine and I'm more of holistic myself. So, of course, you can self-diagnose and stuff, and there's some things that don't ever get diagnosed properly, but I do think I don't know. I think that people do jump a little bit, but I do believe that it's great that there's that open space for everybody now. But I do see people that honestly probably really don't have anything. But don't want to judge anybody on that. You never know what truly someone feels like. So,
Yeah, I think as a society, like we're raised in a situation where like any negative feeling or anything that makes us not feel as we perceive as normal is bad. Like I think that's how we can quickly turn it into a diagnosis. Like in
hmm.
reality, we're all going to get sad, we're all going to get mad, we're all going to get super hyper or happy or any of those things. It's
Hmm.
when it affects your daily life for long periods of time. I think that's where a diagnosis should come in. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think we are all, even me in early recovery, like we are all so afraid of feeling anything but like stasis
Mhm.
that we want to put a label on it because that's
Yeah.
human nature. Like when we
Right.
were running away from saber-toothed tigers, like it was our brain's job to assess. I'm gonna nerd out a little bit to assess the environment and name that name and name the differences and name what's wrong there. But we don't
Mhm.
need that anymore. We are in a relatively, I wanna say relatively safe society right now where we
Mhm.
don't need those labels anymore. It's
Right.
okay to feel happy, it's okay to feel sad, and I know even, like, getting my diagnoses during my mental health period, it was kind of a downer
Yeah,
because I'm
for sure.
still it's
Yeah.
okay that maybe I'm sad sometimes or that I have ADHD. Like,
Mhm.
just putting a label on it was kind of a bummer and it made me feel a little bit messy.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't feel solution based, you know?
Yeah. I totally understand that. Yeah, definitely. You made a good point with that. Let's see what we get now. At what point does loyalty become self-abandonment? Oh, I'll let you answer this first if you wouldn't mind, Karen.
This is so funny because this is one of my biggest struggles. I think this lies for me personally in a lot of my past. I'm always trying to make up for the wrong that I did in active
Mhm.
addiction in my life. And so what do? I get really attached and loyal to certain people. I'm always trying to do the next right thing, but at what cost?
Mhm.
I'll stop taking care of myself. And really, you can't pour from an empty cup and then you create resentment. So self-abandonment is actually a form of abuse that you give yourself. And
Mhm.
I'm pretty good at it, but I'm getting
Yeah. Yeah. I completely
better.
understand. I have the eldest daughter syndrome, where I want to fix everything. I'm in the one that everybody comes to. I'm in charge of everything. And kind of like what you just said, there's been times and I'm trying to get better with it myself. It's something I've been working on for the last couple of years is putting myself first, putting that self-care first, knowing I cannot pour from that empty cup, as you said, like that is no good to anybody. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, that becomes more of a issue if you're always putting yourself last. But it's such an easy thing for us to say. And as you said, we're both working through it. I think it's something I'll
Mhm.
work through my entire life. And yeah, I definitely think that loyalty becomes self-abandonment when you completely are excluding yourself or completely ignoring things in your own life. You're so drained and exhausted that you can't even do your own things, but yet you're still helping others. So
Yeah, and I think, it feels good to do other people. It's easier than
yeah.
doing ourselves, right? Because then we
Oh
have to
yeah.
be vulnerable and like really
Yes.
confront some stuff.
Definitely. That's a really good point with that. Absolutely. Is chemistry overrated compared to emotionally safe? Oh, excuse me. Compared to emotional safety?
I
Yes
think, yeah.
and no. Yeah, I think so. It's very important to be emotionally attached. That's the most important thing. Physical can go away, chemistry can go away, but being safe with your partner, I think, is one of the biggest things. That is something that I feel with my relationship that I never felt before is that safety, that person being my home. I think chemistry is important as, you do need to connect and have that spark and be able to be intimate together, but intimacy is so much more than just sex and, all those things. You need to have that emotional intimacy and safety as well.
Yeah, I think, in my early 20s, even in my teenage years, you get this vision of chemistry. Like I'm in the
Mhm.
movies. Society really messed us up, I think, but
Yeah.
you get this hot, passionate, beautiful, like that's what chemistry is supposed to look like. And it's hammered into our heads. And there are moments where, yeah, I totally had that in life, but I was
Mhm.
still left wanting, or I was still
Yeah.
left abandoned or abused because guess what? That emotional safety wasn't there. And then
Mhm.
what led that eventually led to self-abandonment as well. See, look at this, all ties in.
Yes, it does.
But I think that, especially like now after 4 years of being in recovery, I've learned what having emotional safety is with more friends than romantic.
Mhm.
But I feel like I have the building blocks to know what that would be like for a partner in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something that I always try to say to younger people. We didn't listen, when we were younger, as you just said. That chemistry is drilled into our heads, all our shows, our music, even everything. So, it's very important that it's not just about the sex or, oh my God, that person's so freaking hot and they would like me. You got to have that connection to you, and you got to feel safe. You got to be able to open up with the person. My husband's my best friend, and we went into it being friends before anything else, and it helped us grow our connection. And I think that's so important to not just jump right in, not just because you're feeling a spark. You need to make sure that all the components are actually there for you.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. These are so fun. I love doing these. I could do these all day
Mhm.
long.
Right.
Ooh, an AI question. Is AI making us more informed or more disconnected from human intuition? If you want to go first on this one, Karen.
AI can totally be wrong. So I actually do use AI actually quite a bit in,
Mhm.
content creation or, just generalized paperwork, but I always tend to proof what I'm putting out there. And honestly, like what we're missing that AI is generating, what's being missed there is the human experience that we can add into whatever we're putting. It
Yeah.
is not living our life. It does not have the lenses that we're wearing because of our past experience. So what we have and how we've lived adds value to whatever we're putting out into the world. That's why there's really only one of us and we are high value. So, I mean, if we just let AI do everything, it's kind of just like instead of making your own Christmas cookies and making them look however you want, it's like making them in a factory with a cookie cutter. You're going to get the same
Yeah.
thing every day. And I think variety is the spice of life.
Absolutely. I love that answer. That's so true. I think I agree with you on all of that. I use it myself. I do it with work. We're allowed to use it. It helps. I use it with the podcast for, like you said, content creation or just helping me. But I always use my own words. I always put stuff in. I use prompts like correct this or make it sound more clear. Like it's still me speaking. I think it is great. You can get a lot more information, and if it's used in the correct way, it can be extremely helpful. But you brought up such a good point that human connection is so important. We still need to learn and go into society and interact with each other and learn from each other. We can't just completely rely on AI for those things, just as a tool to help in life, not something that consumes our everyday.
Yeah, I do it to do all my bitch work, really. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can cuss all you want. No, I love that. That's true, it helps a lot. It takes a lot of time off of us for things, but I
Yeah.
totally get that. So,
Yeah, like
absolutely.
contracts or
Yeah.
proposals, like, I don't wanna write that.
Right. I actually have not released the episode yet, but I did have a wonderful lady. She actually wrote a book on AI and technology and all the pluses to AI and all the things that you can use. And whether you're an 80-year-old woman or a 5-year-old child, different ways that parents can use it and stuff like that. And there are a lot of fun, good things that you can do with it. You just have to be smart and not let it consume your entire life and identity.
Yeah, I've been getting really loopy with it, like, I just had it generate a picture of what my favorite, spirit animal would be
Oh,
because
nice.
mine is the peacock and the house cat, and so I made it make, like, this generated picture of them morphed together, just to do some weird stuff with my daughter, so that's fun.
Yeah, that's fun. It does help a lot. There are some things, I've caught myself like, okay, yeah, back off for a little bit. It's not your best friend. You don't need to tell it everything, but the
Yeah.
tools to help out. But it is addicting. It definitely, like you said, you can just make so much fun stuff and ask so many random questions.
Mhm.
So, do we expect too much emotional labor from each other?
I think it's healthy to have
Yeah,
standards and expectations. I think that we have to be clear on them,
yeah,
like upfront. We have to vocalize them. We have to tell people what we want. Because if
yeah,
we're painting this picture in our head and we just have these expectations in our mind of what people should do or what they should already know. Like,
Yeah.
common sense is not actually common, and everybody's raised differently. So, like, I mean, if you're expecting all this emotional labor from somebody, but they don't exactly know how to show up that way for you because you haven't told them, I think it's unfair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a really good point, and that goes back to the relationships and communication, like, you need to be upfront, you need to be honest, whether it's uncomfortable for you or not, but to have that true emotional safety, as we said in the other question, is you need to be open and honest, and as you said, you can't just expect them to know what you need or how to react in specific situations. And I think it's not just relationships, friendships, it can be your bosses or coworkers. I've been bad about that, holding emotions at work or something and then, freaking out, having a freak out moment or something. And they're like, whoa, 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 we didn't know you're feeling any of this. That's such a good point. Like you need to, speak on these things yourself in order for others to understand that.
Yeah, my boss calls them clearing conversations, and every time she makes me have one, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So they're hard and they're uncomfortable, but they are worth it.
Absolutely. In a previous job I worked at, it was a lady. We're both from different cultures, just different backgrounds with everything, and we could not understand each other's needs or how we worked or how we communicated things. But we both took the time. We had separate meetings. We went out to like lunch together to really understand each other more. So it's just important to work with that person, even if they don't fully understand you or where you're coming from. Just be open and honest, and you guys can come together and learn from each other. No.
Oh.
Why do some people feel responsible for everyone else's emotions? Ooh, lots of emotions today. If you want to go first, you can.
Ooh, I feel like you're picking on me. Did you make this wheel? Did you talk to my boss?
Right? No, it's funny how that works out like that.
I'm gonna share this with her. She's gonna just die. So I feel like this is something that I've done in my past, and I feel like that I felt responsible for everyone else's emotions, almost as a caretaker and a protector,
Mhm.
because I have abandonment issues.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if I have these people who love and validate me, I mean, I've also had death. Death is a huge part of my story, so I think that plays a huge part. But we can sometimes easily find validation for ourselves externally instead of
Mhm.
internally. So I think that can kind of translate to a lot of just like nursing a friendship, like, let me make this right, let me make you comfortable, and self-abandonment again.
Yes.
So that way we can keep them around, we can keep them close. Cause I think even though we have technology these days, I think our society has a really big fear of not being connected.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I love all that, and I agree with you. I am also bad about this, and kind of goes back to everything we talked about already. Is I always want to be the fixer. I always want to make sure everyone's okay. I want to make sure everyone's needs are met before mine. Make sure everybody's happy, but we can't do that. That's something that I'm working on. I've gotten better over the years, but we all have our moments, and I think it's like you said, the abandonment issues go into it, self-esteem, self-doubt, just how we feel on ourselves. And yeah, that's very important for us to try to stop these things. But it's always just a work in progress. So
Yeah, I always say I'm a forever project.
I think we all are, and that's important for all of us to remember. We kind of need that little slap in the face. You're never going to work through everything completely all the way. You're always going to have to work on it. You're always going to have to learn new things and try. So I can't talk. Has constant access to information made anxiety worse? Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have our phones at our fingertips. We can look up anything, kind of goes with AI, goes with everything, social media. It's all too out there for us. And we all worry 24/7 and we can see stuff in real time, what's going on. So I absolutely think so.
Yeah, they say ignorance is bliss.
Mhm.
But I've noticed, so I've seen people get really, and even me, I've gotten really spun up in my head about things that really have nothing to do with me. And
Yeah.
so I've started doing this thing. because I do struggle with anxiety, where I go, can I affect the situation in any way, shape, or form? Am I going to care about it a year from now? My best friend Sam taught me that one. And then, is this gonna save somebody's life? Like, is it gonna really be a life-altering moment? Do I
Yeah.
have the energy to expend to fight for whatever it is that's causing this anxiety? If not, it's not mine to hold, and I need to
Mhm.
remind myself of that. And sometimes I have to remind myself several times.
I understand. I get that completely, and I'm bad. Again, I have anxiety as well too, and it goes hand in hand with holding everybody's emotions and feeling everything and wanting to be the fixer and stuff like that. But yeah, I think you made a really good point of like checking yourself. Like, is it going to affect you personally? Is there anything that you can do to help the situation? Those are very important things. I'm glad that you brought that up because we do need to pull ourselves in that moment. Like, stop, this thing made you uncomfortable, made you anxious, but is it something that's affecting you? Is there anything you can do about it? And if it's not, then try to move on from it. We all have enough stress and struggles in our day to day to add on all the struggles of the world. So,
Well, and I think if we let go of control, like, that means we're not safe.
yeah.
Like, if we're all about our own safety, we're built that way. We're built to survive. So, yeah, I just feel like, you know, it's something called mind your own bobber is a really is a really good one that I always say to people when they're getting super bent out of shape. I'm not as good at it. I like to be in a work field where I get to mind other people's bobbers, but
Right.
I get more out of it. So I'm
Uh,
experienced.
yeah, I love that saying. I like that. That's what I'm loving on this podcast. I'm learning so many different sayings and different things that everybody uses that can help all of us, though. Can you build attraction over time or is it instant chemistry? This kind of goes with our last question. Definitely, absolutely, 100%. I think that's how it happens. I think a lot of times in my own situations, it went from not being attracted and then turned into something. And I think that's more important to get to know the person on a soul level or deep level before that chemistry. Obviously, it's awesome if you have that chemistry right away. But as we just said in our last question, it's important to have that attraction and emotionally or mentally, to be safe around that person and feel connected other than sexually.
Yeah, I really agree. And actually, normally I was very spoiled actually in my 20s and I had a lot of chemistry. And so I actually had a recent relationship that it ended, of course, but where I was not sexually attracted to the man at all when I met him.
Hmm.
And as I spent time with that individual and worked with that individual and like really got to know them on a deeper level and shared little bit by little bit, like pieces of my heart and my mind, like then naturally it evolved into chemistry and it shocked
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah.
Really. Like that's never happened to me before. So, I mean, I think it really taught me to love the personality and the human more. I think it was a really good learning experience for me that it's not all about the six pack abs and
Oh, yeah.
the
Absolutely.
back
I agree with
fishing.
you there. Yeah. When I was younger, I always went for the bad boys, all that. And my second serious relationship, he was super dorky, just not, anything that I had gone for before. And that's how we started, just friends. And over time, it built into something else. And I think it's really cool to see it do that. As we said, it's awesome if you have that chemistry right away, but really getting to know somebody can truly open your eyes and help you love them for who they are more and more. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Can a relationship survive bad sex if everything else is good? Lots of sex and emotions today. No, I don't think so. No, we're kind of going ass backwards to everything we have been saying, but I think it's important to have that. And I was kind of hoping one of these questions would show up at some point, and a lot of people probably will not agree with me. And I'm not preaching. I'm not telling anybody how to live their life. But I almost think it is important. I know a lot of people save their virginity and stuff for marriage and all of that stuff, but I almost feel like before you commit to somebody 100%, that you should kind of see if you do have that chemistry. Because say you get married and you never ever have any kind of chemistry, like what kind of life is that? To not be able to be passionate with the person that you love, not be able to actually feel what true intimacy is. So
Yeah, I think my personal motto is you gotta test to drive the car before you buy
yes,
it.
that's how I feel too.
But, I mean, there's, like, arranged marriages all over the world, and they,
Yeah,
like, love each other, and they have,
yeah.
like 15 kids, like, they
Oh, yeah.
obviously
It can happen for sure,
right?
yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it's really I think I've been in a few situations too where I'm like, I've had bad sex and I was just like, "Oh, I gotta get out of there." But then there's also been times where like I've had really good sex and then really bad sex with somebody. And it
Mhm.
just took some learning and correction and
Oh,
some
yeah, for sure.
communication.
Yeah,
And we were good. So
yeah.
I think I would give it a little bit of a chance to maybe like
Mhm.
tell him my needs. But
Right.
after the trial run, I think it's time, time to look at a different car at the lot.
Yeah. Yeah, you made a really good point with that is if you can talk to them about it, explain what, was uncomfortable for you or you didn't like and grow together, that's awesome. I think we've all gotten in ruts in our relationships or things where just not feeling it at that time or just something wasn't right. But yeah, that goes back to that emotional safety as well. You need to be able to communicate, be able to share with your partner. Yeah, and as you said, I'm not trying to say everybody go out and have sex, but there are those arranged marriages, like you said, that do work out. So everybody's different. But I personally think if you were in a relationship and never did anything, how do you know it is even bad sex? You have no past experiences to compare it to. You don't know what you like but that goes back to communication again. If you guys can communicate and learn together, then that's awesome.
Right, and I'm pretty sure my first time I was not good at
I
it.
don't think many of us were. Oh, definitely not. I was kind of an early bloomer, so it wasn't that great. We have some people that wait till they're, 25, 30, so they may be more in tune with what they like, so. Can
Ah,
someone hit rock bottom more than once, or is that just a myth? We'll let you take this one because in Karen's amazing episode, she did share her rock bottom with us, and it is absolutely empowering to hear what she went through and how that came about for her.
so I feel like you told me these were gonna be funny questions, and I feel like you tricked me. But no, so it's so crazy. Um, I've had many rock bottoms in my life. Like, they talk about the rock bottom like it's just one time. And so when you hit your rock bottom and you overcome it, you're like, life is going to be beautiful rainbows and butterflies from now on. Absolutely wrong.
Mhm.
Life is still lifey as shit. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I think, when my girls died, I remember that being a rock bottom for me. When I lost, just my damn mind and went into active addiction, that was a different kind of rock bottom. Each rock bottom for me is completely different. Like, I remember like finally coming to the end of my addiction and remembering that moment like sticks so clearly in my mind, that rock bottom, like where I knew nothing was going to change and I wasn't happy no matter what. But I've
Mhm.
also like hit rock bottoms in recovery
Yeah.
where I'm like, "Oh my god, is this even worth it? Like, I could be getting high right now. I could be taking the easy way out." Like, I've
Mhm.
had devastating breakups. I've had people die. Like, life still lives. Rock bottoms are around the corner. But at the end of the day, just because they're not a myth doesn't mean you can't learn the tools to deal with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I reiterate everything you just said. I agree with you. You can definitely have more than one rock bottom. It can come in different ways, different situations. And as you said, life is not all sunshines and rainbows, things are still happening. We can feel like we're kind of on a safe path finally, and then something happens, you hit rock bottom again. And it's just, as you said, having the tools to pull yourself out of that or the right resources to reach out to. But I think life is always going to have rock bottoms. I think just going through the different ones make us stronger and make us be able to handle them a little bit differently as we get older and go through different things.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing too is just having a community.
For sure. Absolutely. That's so important.
The question was hard. I'm gonna vape.
Go right ahead.
Good Lord.
Are we more connected than ever or more isolated than ever? We kind of touched on this a little bit. I think both. Um, I think in my community, I've seen a lot of people, there's a lot more like different classes and things going on where people are trying to connect more. And of course, COVID didn't play a easy part in any of this for any of us. We were all hermit crabs for a long time. So I think that changed how some people are and they're just comfortable in that mindset. And we do have the access to technology and AI can be our best friend and all of these things. But I personally feel like we're moving more towards being a little bit more connected in my area, in my personal life anyways.
Yeah, I feel like if you're seeking connection, like you'll find it.
Mhm.
Especially after COVID, I feel like everyone was so alone for so long. Suicide rates were up, addiction was up, like everything was so crazy. I think like just that experience like taught some people what it means to be connected.
For sure.
I'm in a pretty active community, so I'm quite spoiled. I know there are smaller communities out there. So like I mean, there are people who aren't in like NA programs or anything or in recovery groups or anything like that that are still going out every day to be a part of their community, to stay
Mhm.
connected. I mean, they have Chalk Fest here. They have all sorts of things. Like if you want to connect with another human, you can. But
Yeah.
there's so like the ease of the internet. It's like a false
Mhm.
sense of connection, I feel like it's hitting like a baby brother of that need, I guess if you would
Mhm.
say, and I feel like honestly, sometimes it can be used as a weapon because
Yeah.
people get real brave behind a computer screen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Makes
That's
it
one reason my husband doesn't do social media because he cannot stand those online bullies or the people that hide behind the keyboard warriors, as we call them.
yeah.
Yeah. Some people get that little man syndrome. They're stuck inside in their house and they think they can run their mouth to everybody online, but in person they would never be like that. So Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's so important what you said is if you want that connection, you can. And I think there's a lot more things coming. And since COVID, I think a lot of us want that connection more. We were so lonely and had to go through so much by ourselves. So if you want it, it's out there. But it's also easy to become a hermit. I work from home. I do my podcast. I don't leave the house very often. I have to force myself to get out. Running errands and things like that are a lot of my fun times sometimes. But just even doing something like that, just forcing yourself or go take a walk. I know it's been kind of nasty in Ohio or wherever everybody else is at, but we're getting there. Spring's coming.
It's nasty here too, girl.
Yeah, I know. Wisconsin is just like Ohio.
Yeah.
Well, I'll answer one or two more, but I could do this all day. Is emotional cheating worse than physical cheating? Ooh. I think cheating in general is horrible, but there are different ways that can come about. There's different ways that it could happen. I think I would be more threatened with the emotional aspect. I think you're truly connected to somebody if you have that emotional connection versus just the chemistry, physical thing that we've been bringing up. So,
Yeah, I think if there's like physical cheating, like in my mind, I can just put a stop to it there. That's
hmm
the end.
yeah,
Over. But if there's emotional cheating, like are they really doing anything wrong? I think that's more long and drawn out and can cause a lot more feelings of like, I am not enough with your partner because you're
absolutely.
taking the emotional needs from somewhere else. I'm not going to play innocent. Like sometimes, like, I am scared of emotional intimacy with a partner because I haven't had very good partners in my life.
hmm
So I always have like sometimes male best friends and we've been around each other for a long time. Like my best friend is a man
hmm
and we've never had a sexual relationship, but I'm gonna tell you, like, there are certain men in my life that have gotten really jealous of that friendship because we've had it for a
hmm
really long time. There's an
Yeah,
intimacy there that it takes time to build, you know?
absolutely.
So I can see how that might be perceived as emotional cheating, but it's really about, I guess, I don't know, fulfilling a need.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
agree
if
with you
I
there.
can't
Yeah.
give that to you, what are we doing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you too. Like I've had a lot of friends that are guys that have been in my life my whole life. And as you said, no sexual anything there, no feelings like that. But you do get those partners where you can't even just see that side of it and think you're just cheating because you have a friend that's a guy. That's not always the situation. And every situation is different, but I think it's more so if they're confiding in this person instead of you all the time, or you never met them before you were in this relationship. Say a lot of times it's a coworker or something like that that starts out this way. I think for the wife or the husband I think it hurts worse because they're wanting to go to them about their personal things and not coming to them. So
Yeah. Well, I think that's where it comes to validating your partner.
for sure, absolutely.
Bit of energy in that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think we have time for one more, so let's see what we get here. Oh yeah. Is it okay to outgrow friendships without a dramatic fallout? Absolutely. I kind of spoke on this last time. I have a 30-year friendship. We are basically sisters, and I outgrew her a long time ago. But I'm always somebody, I think that everybody knows this just from watching me and my question answers on this. I always try to be there for everybody, make things work, and kind of take it on myself. So I kind of let the relationship go a lot longer than it should have. And I tried to talk to her in nice ways, like write her letters, try to talk to her about how I felt, and nothing. So I just personally ended it. There was no dramatic fallout or anything like that. She wanted that. She's reached out to me with drama, and I just choose not to engage in that. But I think it's totally okay, especially if both people feel that the friendship is outgrown. You can be adult about it. We don't have to be freaking 18-year-old little girls anymore. We're trying to fight each other, call each other out on social media for a bunch of bullshit. Like, be real. Stuff changes, people change, life changes. It's okay to stop being friends with somebody.
Yeah, I think, it's said that people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Mm,
And would love to believe that everyone I love now is going to be in my life for the rest of my life. How beautiful and secure.
right. uh,
But that doesn't leave very much room or time or space for these individuals in my future that are really going to blow my mind.
absolutely.
I'm going to need them to learn the things I need to learn to become the human I'm going to be later in life and show up in
Hmm.
situations where I am needed and I need that knowledge. Like, I need those people. Uh,
Absolutely.
we only have so much capacity, I feel like, for true friendship. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, like, how many real friends, true, close friends do we really have? Like,
Yeah.
I can tell you, I know a lot of people. I am really out there. I'm not going to lie, but I have probably like five real true friends. And I think
Hmm.
as we learn and grow, like, it's not a surprise if they certainly go their separate ways. I have
Yes.
my best friend now, he's thinking of moving an hour away for work.
No.
And he's doing so well. Like, how can I not want that for him? Is that gonna
Yeah.
I'll always be his friend. But I feel like, is that gonna put a strain on the friendship because he's so far away? Yeah, probably. But
No.
there's all that love, that's there. It doesn't have to be dramatic. I'm not gonna hate on him for
Right.
having a really good financial and professional future. Absolutely not. I wish well for him and the same as with a lot of other people. I think I'm past the stage of drama, or at least I try to be.
Yeah,
I'm
and
over
I
it.
agree with you there. That's one reason the person I mentioned that I stopped being friends is because she's never grown out of that lifestyle, and I hate it. I don't want to be involved in that stuff. And that's another thing I brought up is if you feel uncomfortable after hanging out with that person or drained or anything like that, that friendship has played its role. If you're supposed to be refreshed when you hang out with your friends and renewed and be able to openly talk to each other and just, understand each other. So I think that's so important. I agree with you. I maybe have five, like a handful of people that are my true lifelong best friends that I know that will always be there. And that's something too. You don't need to talk to this person every single day, all day to have that connection and still be somebody important in your life. Well, that was so much fun. I could truly do this all day long, but we're going to stop now. Thank you, Karen, so much for joining me today. I know some of the questions went a little deep, but just try to keep it real, open, and honest as Auntie Mel Mel does and let things flow naturally. We enjoy you. I love having you on. You're an amazing person, and I am so thankful that you joined us today.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. I had fun. It was deeper than I expected, but I ain't got no shame
Yes.
in my game, so
Oh, if this episode resonated with you or you want to be part of future What Would Auntie Mel Mel Do episodes, please reach out. I'm always looking for people to co-host with me. As always, this will be full video, so check it out on YouTube and Spotify and keep it real, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. All right, friends, that's a wrap on today's episode of Auntie Mel Mel Life Unfiltered. Thank you for spending this time with me and stepping into the real, the raw, the messy, and the magical, because you know we don't do surface level here. If this episode hit home, made you laugh, or helped you feel a little less alone, go ahead and follow the podcast and share it with someone who might need it too. And remember, you are never too much, never too little, and never alone on this wild ride. I'll meet you back here next time for more truth, more feels, and more unfiltered goodness. This is Auntie Mel Mel signing off. Stay real, stay kind, and stay unfiltered. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This is Auntie Mel Mel. If this episode made you laugh, think, or feel a little less alone, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Sharing it really helps this community grow. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and right here on YouTube. I'll see you in the next episode of Life Unfiltered.